Hey there, future me. It's Saturday evening. We made it. This should be the fifth audio of the October-November period. It is 14 minutes until midnight, clocking over to December, but we still technically made it. Um, yeah, I don't know. Like, I guess given that I'm supposed to, am I supposed to finish this before midnight in order for it to count as like a full audio or something? I guess future me is the one to make the rules, or I guess present me is one to make the rules. Anyhow, like. What's happened since Monday? I mean, I guess I made the deadline for this, and I also I guess I didn't make the deadline. I did make like the ideal deadline for the write up. The write up is still in construction, and like I actually also need to like work on a presentation for Monday, which is like supposed to be the present to like your fellow graduate students, no professors around to make you feel anxious, right? Or to correct you if you say like, provide horrible misinformation on things. So like I'd still have to work on that, but it's coming along, I guess. Like had like I wish I worked in a more consistent or more like what segmented manner, but sometimes it might not always happen the way you think it will, but I guess it turned out all right. I don't know. I guess like what on Tuesday, was it Tuesday? Yeah, I think on Tuesday I just like I met with prof and then like I did a little bit of writing and then like I spaced out like really hard and then on Wednesday I like was spacing out really hard and then I kind of like I don't know, came to my senses and was like, "All right, Green, you got to do stuff. If you don't do the things, who's going to do it?" Like you got all these ideas in your head. Doesn't matter how eloquent like these phrases are you're conjuring in your mind if you don't write them down. Yeah. And besides, no one really cares about like or the eloquence is kind of important, but what's more important is the substance. So you have to like throw all the substance out there. So I met with Prof on Tuesday. I met with Prof today. Right, we just like talked about things, and it was really just kind of like like I was still asking him questions, and he was like, "Great, my guy, you gotta like just just write, like just get stuff on the board and we'll go from there." So I don't really know like I I, I don't really know what that indicates, I guess. Like I mean I suppose that indicates that like well, I mean I was asking him if like the writing, like the stuff that I had written beforehand was like good enough and he was like, "Yeah." But I don't know whether it's like good enough because it's we're in like a time crunch and so like the quality, like the bar like is much lower or whether it's like actually like decent like prose that makes sense, is informative and seems to have like doesn't make sudden leaps, right? But I'm probably like, well, maybe we don't have the luxury. Maybe that's like a first world problem, right? We don't really have like the time to like consider such things, and it's really just a matter of like cramming. Um, I guess like I'm probably going to exceed like the ideal page limit, but supposedly that's okay as long as I don't like exceed it by like an ungodly amount. It's still really weird to think that like for once like I actually have a lot of things to write about, right? Isn't the meme always like, STEM majors trying to, write a 3-page essay? It's like Squidward trying to blow like a bubble with like all of his might and he can barely do it. But I don't know. I guess that's coming together. Anything else on my mind? Oh yeah, I guess Thanksgiving happened. I didn't really. I mean, I just stayed here, was working on candidacy, right? Had like a hearty bowl of oatmeal. Truly, one of the Thanksgiving feasts. This is peak performance. I don't know, and oh yeah, met with Prof twice. I guess Thanksgiving happened. I guess normally like if I were not like in the thick of it, like, or just like not really having to super focus, like I would probably have some kind of like, man, Thanksgiving was pretty primo. I guess I kind of do. I mean, back in the kid days, right? Like we would always go to like my mom's like coworkers Thanksgivings, right? Which was just be like the guy who hosted it. I think he was from like Sri Lanka, and then like a bunch of other coworkers would show up. It was like a whole like I guess group thing. It's like all the families would be there as well, and yeah, it was pretty all right. I mean, like it would just be a big potluck where we'd all kind of like bring one dish. Of course, my family being I guess there were like other Chinese people as well, but like we would make pot stickers or like dumplings. Did we actually make the dumplings? Of course not. Like we we bought dumplings and we made the dumplings and we brought the made dumplings to the thing. I guess. It's still kind of like weird thinking about it. And it was like, imagine like being one of my parents at the gathering, and like some guy goes up to you and asks like, "So these dumplings are pretty good. What's the recipe?" You just like look them dead in the eye, and you're like, "I just got these from like the Asian market." And they're like, "Oh," it's like the it was like crushing their hopes and dreams, maybe. But yeah, it's different time now, right? I think like since I guess shit hit the fan and the divorce and all that stuff. Like it hasn't really haven't been to one of those since yeah, like sophomore year of high school. I think like I still get like I don't know. Like it's a bit of a funny one now thinking about it. There's certainly some level of nostalgia, but there's also some level of like, man, you hate to see it. But let's see. Oh yeah, and I trolled myself. I popped another inner tube. Popped the inner tube in my back tire this time. So at least like I didn't just like, get a new inner tube just to pop it again. I think I should have checked the tire pressure more and have made like more upkeep, I guess, like on the tire itself. But yeah, I mean, do I man, I think I have something to talk about. I'm just not really sure how to like start, and I haven't really thought about it too much because I've just been like, I met with prof, I sat on my ass and was like just like being a dummy for like a good while, and then I did some chores because if I don't do the chores, I'm probably gonna get burnt for it like a few like days down the road once like the week's actually starting and I have like all this stuff to do. And now I'm just kind of here. It's just kind of like, well, what am I supposed to talk about now? I mean, what's on your mind? Candidacy, of course. What else, right? There's all this like we're under 2 weeks until candidacy, which is I don't know if I'm ready. I pulled up the PDF of like here's the list of things that you should know, and I looked at the list and I was like, dang, it's a lot of stuff that I don't know, and that's not even like like a list specifically made for me. That's just like all like the stuff that you should know given your subfield, and there's also a bunch of bonus stuff that I should know given like what I do. That's probably on my own time. I was kind of hoping, like I guess, what on Monday and like a few weeks ago that I would have like the write up like mostly done by the time Monday rolls around, but it currently seems that we're on track to finish the write up like around Tuesday or so because I still have to finish the write up like substance wise and then like wrangle with citations and papers and like make it all nice and stuff. Put captions on my like figures, describing them in a good amount of detail. Like here's a figure, why is the figure important? Oh look, we have this line and that line. They're different. That's interesting because we talked about it earlier in the paper, right? Or something like that. But I've also spent like a lot of time just kind of well on my own. I mean, I hung out with like Moon in Arizona. Like yesterday evening, they stopped by. We played some board game. Went to go get food, and then went back to play a second round of board game. But now it's just kind of back to being in isolation. I suppose I can't use the word isolation again in the title because that would be. I mean, I guess I could. No one's really stopping me, right? But I don't know. There's just something about it. I guess after spending like what 3 days just not really talking to anyone in person, it was really strange to interact with people in the flesh after like a 3 day time span of like only talking to people over like the phone or like on like voice call or something, right? Man, like, and it was just really, I don't know, like, I don't want to like, I guess, yeah, I don't want to like pull like a self-diagnosis, like, hey, actually, I have like all these things, right? But it was there was something about it that felt like rather off, like in some way that like I was a bit more like not on edge, but like just very very jittery, as if I were like super excited, right, to like interact with like a human being in flesh for the first time, and like, wow, 3 days, wow, real humans, holy cow, right? Like it was, mm, it's kind of weird to to think that I was in that state, and I guess like I'm not entirely out of that just yet, right? Like I guess the counter got reset given interactions yesterday, but like I figured that over Sunday, and like I guess I'll be seeing people on Monday, so it really won't be that bad. It reminds me of this like one time, the first year that I was here, like over winter break, I just stayed here. My roommate at the time, like he like went back home, And so I was just kind of like by myself for a solid like 2 weeks. I mean, I talked to some people over voice call again, but I didn't really see anyone, right? And that I think was a really strange experience. Like, it just in some ways, it was some self-imposed like solitary confinement. I guess I could have gone out and about to like find people, but most of like my cohort buddies had already gone home for the break, and I don't know. I guess I just kind of stayed at home and was just like on the computer, like playing video games. So like I wasn't really being particularly productive, but it certainly, I guess I wasn't like as focused as I am now, right? Because it's really just been like, besides like taking the time to what edit the audio, play video game to for the game, and then upload, like these past like Wednesday, Thursday, I guess Friday, like I had some time to like hang out with people, and then like Saturday has just kind of been like wake up, all right, it's candidacy time. I suppose this is probably an example of, well, not having a good work life balance, which in some ways is comforting because I guess that means that now I know what like a work life imbalance is, and that also means that what I had previously, or like me being lazy or me thinking that like wow I'm like working really hard, it was still like healthy somehow. But maybe this isn't like the best. Maybe it's not the best indicator. Who knows? But yeah, I don't know. Like this is a really it's a spooky experience. I guess I'm not really doing a good job like trying to what cobble things together again, right? Like the words aren't really there. There's just so much stuff like on the mind to like sit down and to write, and there's so many things. I don't know. I am certainly a bit overwhelmed at the moment, but what else am I supposed to do, right? Like I kind of wonder how I'll look back on this. I hope that whenever I look back on this, I'll be like, wow, this guy was like really out of his element, right? Or like he's like truly having a bad time. I'm glad that that hasn't happened to me, since like since now, right? I hope this isn't like the isn't a sign of like what's the saying, like sign of things to come, right? Like, and it's not just gonna like be like this like over and over again. Certainly had those times in like the undergrad or high school days to where like the papers due like tomorrow or like 2 days from now, and you're like trying to cram everything in. You're staying up late at night contemplating, man, why didn't I do this earlier? But like this really is it feels different. But maybe the only reason why I'm saying that now is because like I've just gotten a reminder of it, right? I don't think I've been reminded of like something like this for quite some time. It seems that like the last time I was like truly deeply invested into completing something and like trying to craft something and make it like very very nice, and oh look, this is so me, was like this writing was like, what was it, like a short story for like this East Asian literature class. Like it was like a gen ed thing that I took in undergrad so I can get enough credits to graduate. But I don't know, I guess I really poured my heart into that story. And I remember just like I would go to the office, like I'd go to the office that I like was mooching off of like the prof that I was doing research for in undergrad. I'd like put on some like music and some YouTube videos, and I'd just like fall asleep at like 11 p.m. and then I'd wake up at like 4 a.m. and be like, damn, that's kind of wild, right? And the lights were on in the room the entire time. It was like a room with like no windows, and then I would just like get up and like go like brush my teeth or something like in like the restroom or like just like down the hallway. Like I remember one time like the security guard came over and was like, "Yo, you like, are you like, you good? Are you supposed to be here?" And I was like, "Yeah, I have like keys to this office." And he was like, "Oh, okay." Like I wasn't actually doing research, right? Because I was just like I was just sleeping. But um, yeah, like I suppose that's probably like the last time it was like that, and I think I didn't even go back to like the apartment for like a whole week, right? It was just like a really crazy stretch of like self-imposed like idiocy, like oh just gotta grind it out, man, just gotta grind it out. So like I don't know. I mean, I guess I got the things done. I don't really know if it actually did a toll on my body. Like, perhaps it did, and like the debuffs will only kick in like a little bit later. My dad keeps telling me like what sensual sui which is like the diseases will come for you when you're 35. Just the idea that like they're all just buffering now, and once I turn 35, they'll just like come crashing down and like boom, it's over. Congratulations, arthritis, back pain, like insomnia. So that's always a fun thing to think about. But I don't know. I guess like this is one of those stretches to where I'm just not really. I'm not even in like my element, right? Like it's not like you're in a constant rhythm to where you're always just working and then going to sleep. It's really just ebbs and flows. You're just catching waves, but every time you catch a wave, you feel like there's a lot of like stuff that you can suddenly like write out. As much as this is fun and all, and I do feel really nice when I'm like, I guess once I finish a lot of things as the result of like a progress wave, whenever I'm in those periods of like looking for waves or just kind of what, like I've been doing a lot of, there's like the wall that faces the window, and I've just been like, I don't know, like standing, laying on the wall, just like staring outside, thinking about like, oh yes, here's all the stuff that I could be doing, and just kind of those periods aren't that great. Like I know that I just what is it like all the YouTube people and all the people on the web say that creativity is this thing that comes in like spurts, right? But I kind of wish that I would be able to at least be a bit more consistent and maybe not ride the waves as much because I worry that like I'm not going to, I can't count on waves forever, right? Like, I guess I caught like a wave on Wednesday, but prior, like on Tuesday and Monday and on Sunday and on Saturday, right? Like 4 whole days, like that's like effectively should be like Thanksgiving break, like pseudo Thanksgiving break. I was just kind of like not really going as like fast as I should be. I mean, I'm glad that this internal deadline exists to where I should get the write out before actual candidacy, so that like if I don't make this internal deadline, which I already kind of whiffed, like I'll at least be able to have it ready by candidacy comes around, hopefully, right? Like as I've like gotten most of the way there, but it's just kind of I don't know. I really do wonder if I'm actually going to quote unquote learn from this, if it's something that I feel like I'm capable of changing, right? I feel like I'm capable of learning, of adapting, and becoming like, yes, a more mature being, right? And like doing things more consistently. But it's just not. I guess it hasn't happened yet. But maybe I'm getting too much in my head, and maybe that's a first world problem, right? Like there's other stuff to think about. We have to actually get past candidacy and then worry about picking up the pieces, right? Looking forward to like the video that's released right after that I record right after candidacy titled like whiffs and woes or something like that, where it's just like bros, I just got pranked. I'm an idiot, right? Or something like that. Oh man. But yeah, I don't know. It's 04 now. It's December. Oh no, I gotta stop the recordings. So or else like we'll be won't be legit. It won't be legit. Alright, future me. Guess I'll see you in a week. Till then.